Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to MtG Traders. My name is Taryn, and this is Mono Red Burn for Dominaria Standard. So I asked myself the question, could burn be a thing in this format? Like mono red burn straight up, can it be a thing in Dominaria Standard? And I kind of came up with a deck that's actually not terrible. But of course, before I get into it, make sure to like the video if you like it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We have more deck techs coming out all throughout the week, of course, with interviews and other kind of opinion videos, stuff like that on the channel as well. So let's jump right into the deck list, guys, starting with our creatures, which we only have 2 of since this is a burn list. We have 2 Combustible Gearhulk here, a 6-mana 6/6 first striker. And of course, this is a great way for us to have a great first strike attacker on the field if opponent doesn't have any kind of removal in the mid to late game, as well as having just a great way to draw into card advantage and do some damage to opponent if they decide that we don't get to draw those cards. So if you guys don't know, Combustible Gearhulk is a 6-mana 6/6 first striker. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent may have you draw 3 cards. If the opponent doesn't, put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. Then Combustible Gearhulk deals damage to that player equal to the total converted mana cost of those cards. So again, we get card draw or we get to burn our opponent. Either way, getting a 6/6 first striker on the battlefield is super good for us and something that we want to do in the mid to late game if we have our opponent down on life. Other things in the deck besides burn spells is, of course, our planeswalkers. We have 2 Chandra Torch of Defiance and 3 Jaya Ballard. Yes, the only list I feel like Jaya it fits in is this list right here. Chandra, of course, is a 4-mana, 4 loyalty planeswalker with 4 abilities. You guys should probably know Chandra by now. I'm not going to really read that over. Jaya is a little bit different, though. It's a 5-mana, 3 red mana. This is why it's in a mono red deck here. 5 loyalty planeswalker, 3 of, +1, add 3 red mana to your mana pool. Spend this mana only to cast instant or sorcery spells. +1 again, discard up to 3 cards, then draw that many cards. And -8, you get an emblem with, you may cast instant and sorcery cards from your graveyard. If a card cast this way would be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. So basically giving you an emblem to give you flashback for the rest of the game. This card is busted. Super good with this kind of like burn list here. Obviously, the most important part of Jaya Ballard is that +1 giving us 3 extra mana to get off, either a Wizard's Lightning or a Lightning Strike or, whatever for 3 mana. Or we can either just like, +3 or +1 again, discard 3 cards, and then draw that many cards. So very good for us as well, being able to kind of cycle through our hand if we have a lot of land or a lot of useless cards as well. So Jaya Ballard is just really good for that overall. And she doesn't have really a negative until she gets to her emblem. So if Jaya actually stays on the field long enough, she'll just emblem, and then your entire graveyard is just online for you to continue to burn your opponent to a crisp. Jaya is no joke in this particular deck list. But this is a burn deck, so let's move on to our burn spells here, starting with, of course, Shark, Abrade, Lightning Strike, Fight with Fire, Wizard's Lightning, and Hour of Devastation. So Hour of Devastation and Abrade are kind of here just for keep away, as well as Fight with Fire. But Fight with Fire, if you have 9 mana to dump into it, what is it, 6? Yeah, 9 mana to dump into it, it turns into a 10-point damage spell to either our opponent's face or any other targets that they have on their side of the field. Most likely just opponent's face, and that's going to end the game for you because Fight with Fire is ridiculous. Shock, Lightning Strike, and Wizard's Lightning, though, are just all the direct damage spells going to either a planeswalker or a creature or an opponent's face, which, of course, this is a burn deck, so they got to go to the opponent's face, doing 2, 3, and 3. Wizard's Lightning could be 1 mana if we had a wizard in the actual deck list here, but we do not, and we really don't want to worry about that too much. We just want to do the 3 points of damage to an opponent's face and really not worry about the extra mana because we have, of course, Jaya Ballard giving us 3 extra mana. Then Hour of Devastation is here to play keep away on any kind of a creature or opponent has on the field. Super useful for us and just very useful overall at being able to get rid of their planeswalkers as well. Do keep in mind, Hour of Devastation deals 5 damage to each non-Bolas planeswalker, so that could be our own Chandra and Jaya, so we want to be very careful when we do play that out, that our 3 copies of Hour of Devastation do not destroy Chandra or Jaya. They need to be on the field for our deck to kind of exist and operate. But that's all the actual burn in the list here. Let's move on to some other cards here, which is card advantage and kind of card filtering with some like end game damage here with Insult to Injury. Tormenting Voice, Flame of Keld, and Treasure Map are going to help us draw really quickly. Tormenting Voice just basically filtering. Flame of Keld actually draws us 3 cards after it's played, and then we actually get to do extra points of damage with red sources on our opponents. So this is a chapter 3 here. If a red source you control will deal damage to a permanent or a player this turn, it deals that much damage +2 to that permanent or player instead. I almost put a full playset in here replacing this with a Tormenting Voice, but I kind of did a 2-2 split here because I do like Tormenting Voice for that filtering ability in the early game, especially for 2 mana. Insult to Injury is a great way for us to end the game. 3 mana sorcery. Damage can't be prevented this turn. If a source you control will deal damage this turn, it deals double that damage instead. So a Lightning Strike strike deals 6 damage instead of 3, a shock deals 4, and so on. And of course, injury is 3 mana that you can cast from the graveyard, deals 2 damage to target creature and 2 damage to target player. So if you have the mana to do both of these, which is 6 mana overall, you're actually doing 4 and 4 to a target creature or player, so very useful. And of course, treasure map just a great way for us to get some mana with the flip ability on treasure map, as well as kind of sift through our deck list for scrying ability on the upkeep or on their instep, our opponent's instep, to hopefully kind of make sure we don't draw into too many lands, or if we need to get into lands, we draw lands. But that is all the cards in the deck list besides lands. Let's go over lands really quickly here. We just have 20 mountains, 2 scavenger grounds, and 2 field of ruins. So we really wanted to keep it just straight up mountains here, nothing really too fancy. We would have put round up ruins in here if it wasn't banned, which is kind of sad. But besides that, scavenger grounds, field of ruin here is here to shut down a Godfather's Gift strategy, any kind of graveyard recursion. Field of ruin is here for a flip Legion's Landing, a flipped Azcanta, things like that against the control matchup or the mid-range matchup. We want to make sure we have good lockdown in our land base here, and of course enough red mana to go around for that Jai Bower 3 red mana requirement to make sure that we're casting everything on curve. But yeah, 24 lands in total, pretty simple. Let's get on to our sideboard here and see what we can do in the sideboard in game 2. So we actually have some removal here. It's Magma Spray, Sweltering Suns, and Radiating Lightning. Very interesting card for us. That's basically for the token-based strategy. It's a 4 mana instant, deals 3 damage to target player and 1 damage to each creature that player controls. So if they're playing Hidden Stockpile, if they're playing any kind of like a servo kind of thing with like a Benelish Marshal, that kind of stuff, very good to bring in. Not very good against History of Benalia. That's why we have cards like Sweltering Suns in the sideboard as well, a 3 mana sorcery dealing 3 damage to each creature. It's also cycling for 3, so this could be brought in against another opponent if we want to use it just as a drawing or cycling card. Magma Spray though is here for Scrap Heap Scounger. It's here for a Scarab God if we want to try and kill it with a strike, and then a Magma Spray to try and exile it. Magma Spray is very, very useful for those kind of matchups where we don't want those cards to hit to the graveyard immediately, thanks to a Godfather's Gift, like a Angel of Invention. We want to make sure Angel of Invention gets exiled, and Magma Spray is going to help us do that. So Magma Spray and Sweltering Suns and probably Radiating Lightning are coming in against token-based strategies, graveyard recursion strategies, and just those mid-range strategies where they kind of have those cards that are smaller that get larger with things like Benelish Marshal, History Benalia, things like that. Moving on to other cards for us, we have Siege Gang Commander, Glorybringer, Harsh Mentor, and Imminent Doom. Imminent Doom is a card I thought about putting into the main board here, but I feel like it's a little too much goldfishy for me, where we can get into too many things with like the actual like just casting of spells. So Imminent Doom, if you guys don't know, is a 3-minute enchantment. When it enters the battlefield with a Doom counter on it, and whenever you cast a spell with a converted mana cost equal to the number of Doom counters on Imminent Doom deals that much damage to target creature or player. Then put a Doom counter on Imminent Doom. So it's kind of an interesting ability because it can like burn your opponent for extra points of damage, which is useful to us. The problem, of course, is that it's only useful until like a certain point, because then it starts to like outweigh the amount of spells we actually have in our deck list here. So it can only do a particular amount of damage. Imminent Doom can. It's also very slow because it can turn us off on turn 3. So we kind of want to see what we're kind of playing up against. And if we're playing against a slower strategy, Imminent Doom is coming in. Siege Gang Commander though is a great card for us. It's a 5 mana 2/2. Makes 3 other 1/1s, and we can actually pay 2 mana and pitch those at our opponent's face for 2 points of damage. Very, very useful if the opponent has like a Planeswalker, or if they have a lot of stuff on the creature round game, or if they have just stuff we want to just ping with 2 points of damage by flinging goblins at them. So super good for us. We can actually block them and also throw them to our opponent's face. So or block with the 1/1s and throw them at our opponent's face. Very, very useful. Glorybringer is also here for extra damage, as well as just flying damage overall. Just a very good cheap card right now in the actual format. 5 mana 4/4. You can exert it and it deals 4 points of damage to a non-dragon creature. And yeah, very, very good. Harsh Mentor is also here for that 1-of or 2-of card that our opponent is playing on the side of the field that we want to shut down or deal damage to for them. A 2 mana 2/2. Whenever an opponent activates an ability of an artifact, creature, or land on the battlefield, if it isn't a mana ability, Harsh Mentor deals 2 damage to that player. So sort of useful, but very, very situational depending on what kind of matchup you're wanting to go up against. So there's a lot of like artifact decks kind of floating around just under the surface. So this could be one of those cards that helps with that list. But that's full 75, guys. Let's go to the deck list here. On MtG Traders is coming to about 62 tickets, and if you want to build this in paper, it's coming to about 114 bucks. The most expensive cards in the deck list are, of course, Chandra, Torch of Defiance, Glorybringer, and Scavenger Grounds with Field of Ruin right behind that. In paper, if you want to build this, it's coming to, again, 114, but the more expensive cards, of course, is, again, Chandra. Jai Ballard is coming up there a little bit, Hour of Devastation, and Field of Ruin and Scavenger Grounds once again. I think Glorybringer is actually about 5 bucks for the pair there as well. But that is the full deck list, guys. Let me know what you think. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you have any suggestions for it? Please leave it in the comments down below. Would love to hear your responses on it, and would love to hear what you guys want me to cover next as far as the deck list and standard. There is so much stuff still left to cover. I think I'm going to be trying to cover a Boros like auras and equipment deck the next video I make, so really excited to get into that too. But really did like this list. It actually came out really well in testing, and I think this list is actually a ton of fun if you want to get into a mono red burn list in Dominaria Standard. But that's gonna do it for the video, guys. Like it if you like it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I love you all, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.